Overwhelm is real. It invades every corner of our lives and our businesses. It truly is a modern day scourge. Overwhelm robs our time, it wreaks havoc on our productivity, and it kills our sales results and your marketing. In this episode, I am talking about one simple, elegant tweak you can make to your marketing today to help reduce that overwhelm just a little bit. Let's dive in. So here's the question. In a world where the rules of business have been written by men, how do women entrepreneurs like us, women who want to make millions of dollars and impact millions of lives, how do we create enormous success on our terms? That's the question, and this show explores the answers. Welcome to Power Presence Position. I'm your host, Eleanor Beaton, and I'm on a mission to double the number of women entrepreneurs who generate over $1 million per year in annual revenue. I'm an award-winning entrepreneur, author, and leadership coach. I'm a wife, mom of 2 boys, and I'm the CEO of a 7-figure business. Stick around because on this show, you'll learn how to think, communicate, and get paid like a 7-figure CEO. Let's go. Hello, my fierce friends. Welcome to Power Presence Position. This is episode number 424, and we are talking about problem discipline. This is an elegant, practical, useful little episode for you that I hope really provides some clarity and direction to help you create more effective marketing. Now, before I dive in, I want to take a moment to thank my listener, M. Del Sol 1. Thank you so much for your 5-star review on iTunes. In this particular one, the Zone of Genius episode, she says, Eleanor is truly genuine, generous, and impactful. Love all of her work. Her encouragement to niche down and work in our zone of genius is beyond powerful, as discussed in this episode. Listen and learn, taking the leap and making the changes she suggests. Thank you for all that you give. Thank you so much, Mona, for your generosity in taking the time to leave that review for us. I so appreciate it. It really helps us be discovered by other women who would benefit from what we share in the show. So I so appreciate you and the work that you do advancing women leaders and entrepreneurs. All right. By the way, are we connected on Instagram? I love Instagram. I really do, I've got to say. Instagram and LinkedIn are my faves. Let's connect on Instagram. You can find me at Eleanor Beaton. Just connect with me at Eleanor Beaton. Let me know you're a podcast listener. Would love to connect with you there. Okay, so I know that the lockdown is feeling increasingly like a distant memory, but do you remember what it was like not being able to leave our houses? Everything was closed. So during lockdown, my beauty regime took a massive hit. There were no spas. I didn't work out with my personal trainer. I could not get my hair cut. I had no esthetician. And I am a woman who has voluptuous eyebrows, and I couldn't get in to have them handled for me. There was no esthetician. Oh my gosh, I just missed my beauty regime so much. And quite honestly, there is a tremendous expectation for us as women to look polished and pulled together. And yes, I can stand independent of that. I understand, but I also like to look pulled together. That's my preferred way to look a little bit sort of pulled together and fancy, and like I put in the effort for you, my queen. And so I'm doing a ton of live video, and my eyebrows, I basically am starting to look like I have a unibrow. I mean, it was serious, okay? It was serious. So I had a bunch of different beauty problems, and I was getting completely overwhelmed with the upkeep, and it was starting to impact how I felt about myself. And so I decided that of all of the problems that I had, which were starting to get me really overwhelmed, I was going to choose one and just handle that. Right? I was going to make one choice. I was going to do one thing that was going to help me just move the needle a little bit on my beauty situation and see what difference that made. So I took a look at all of the different problems that I had, and I decided, look, the one I'm most able to handle is skin. I just feel like my skin is dull. I just don't feel awesome about it. So I started giving myself weekly facials. This was something easy that I could do by myself for myself. So I started doing weekly facials. I had all the ingredients and the potions and everything, and I just started using them. I chose one problem to handle. And what was so remarkable about it is that I really started to feel empowered to take back control of the beauty regime, to take it back. I felt better about myself, and I felt that feeling better about myself actually helped me look even better and more vibrant on video, etc. So this is the idea of problem discipline. When you feel super overwhelmed by things, choosing one problem and focusing on that. Now, for many of you, we could apply this idea of problem discipline in lots of different ways, but I want to focus on your messaging and your communication and your marketing, because they're all kind of the same thing. For many of you right now, your marketing is kind of like my beauty regime on lockdown. So yes, you've done the work to choose an ideal client, but you are overwhelming them with all the problems you could solve for them. You are trying to solve a ton of problems for them because you can, but the fact that you can do it does not mean that you should. So here's an example. In fact, the more that you are able to practice problem discipline in your marketing, the more successful you are going to be. So let me give you an example. Let's say you are an HR consultant. And I work with some incredible HR consultants in our programs. And these women entrepreneurs can go into an organization and solve a range of problems relating to hiring, firing, culture, succession, all that stuff. So let's say you're an HR consultant like that, just multi-talented, lots of experience, lots of different ways that you can support an organization. So let's think about it. Let's say you are working with a high growth company, or that's your CEOs of high growth companies. So let's think about all the different problems, people problems that CEO will have. Lots of turnover, lots of reorganization. There's a poor culture. There's no bench strength. They don't have other leaders in place. There are no policies in place. There are no procedures in place. There's no bonus structure, right? So all kinds of problems. Now imagine that you are talking about all of those different things in your marketing, and imagine that you are now that person's ideal client. And this HR consultant is bombarding you with all the different problems that you are experiencing, and you get completely overwhelmed. It's totally overwhelming. You don't know where to start, and so you don't start. You're like, thank you for your pitch, but not right now. This is totally overwhelming. I need to get back to other things. So you've lost that buyer, right? So this is an issue that so many of you experience in your marketing. It was interesting. So I'm working with some incredible clients inside my Power Presence Position program. And that program really actually solves the problem of people not being able to communicate what they do in a way that people want to buy. Quite simply, right? Struggling to communicate your offer in a way that people want to buy it. And until you have that in place, it's really hard to launch effectively. It's really hard to close sales. It's really sort of the foundation that you want to have in place. So as I was working through the process with them and we were talking about problems, I was like, guys, you need to choose which problem you're going to focus on. And you need to articulate that problem and expound upon that problem, but you need to choose the problem that you want to fix. You need to practice problem discipline because the brain detests being overwhelmed, right? If you, with your marketing, overwhelm someone's brain, they will not buy from you. The brain will just put you and what you offer in a drawer, file it away, and maybe never come back. The brain is this beautiful, organized thing that does not like overwhelm. It's always looking for this, always processing through information and looking for the simplest path. So much of marketing out there is not constructed for the brain. Not at all. It's constructed from lessons from people who have never sold anything in their lives. Let's be honest. So here's the interesting thing, right? So I'm hoping that you're picking up what I'm putting down and that it makes sense, right? But here's what I find so interesting. And here's the thing that would maybe prevent you from implementing what I'm sharing with you today. It's that in some ways, your customer or client's brain that does not want to be overwhelmed with tons of problems, it's going to be so much easier for them to understand what you do if you practice problem discipline and focus on solving one problem. Their brain is at odds with your brain because your brain wants all of the goodies, right? It's like our cavewoman ancestors. And if we came across an apple tree, we were going to get as many of those dang apples as we could carry because we weren't sure where our next meal would come from, right? We ate what we killed and what we harvested and what we found. So we just didn't have grocery stores for most of humans' existence. So when we came across something that could provide for us, we got all of it. And a lot of you guys are trying to hoard clients and hoard problems. You don't want to discipline. You are running your marketing like a cavewoman. I know that is tough love, but think about it. No, I'm going to focus on all the problems. I'm not going to niche down. I'm going to speak to tons of different clients and I'm going to offer them tons of different solutions. That is the inner cavewoman. Your brain wants to do that because it's afraid. It wants to prepare for a rainy day. But the reality is we're living in a modern age. And in the modern age, for us, scarcity of resource is not the problem for us in this context. Now, I understand in Yemen, scarcity of resource is a massive humanitarian disaster. So please don't think I'm tone deaf to that. There are major places in the world operating right now where scarcity of resource is real. But for you, listening to this show, running your business, making it as profitable as you can so that maybe you can donate to relief in Yemen. If the guys over there ever let aid go to its starving people, I digress. You need to start marketing like a modern, evolved woman CEO. You can go to the grocery, you're never going to run out of food. You can go to the grocery store, you can get some at any time. You're never going to run out of customers, even when you focus in on one problem. There are plenty out there just waiting to do business with you. If only you could be clearer about what problem you help them solve. So there you have it, my friends. My question for you or my challenge for you that you could do in the next 24 hours is to choose one problem. Okay? You don't have to drop a bomb on your business. You don't have to destroy and recreate all of your marketing materials. Just start by sending me a direct message on Instagram and identify the one problem you're going to focus on solving in your next piece of content, like in your next podcast episode or in your next blog post or in your next email to your newsletter list, whatever. Just choose one problem. Focus on one problem and see how clear it is. Okay? So I hope this is useful to you. Next week, come back, same bat time, same bat place. We're going to talk about buyer discipline. Okay? Buyer discipline. So we're talking all about the discipline right now. You heard the Zone of Genius discipline episode. That was episode 422. Go check it out. And so 425, that's next week's episode. We're going to talk about buyer discipline. Okay, my fierce friends, have a wonderful week. I hope this was helpful to you. If it was, I would so appreciate if you'd leave me a review. They light up my life and they really help me spread the word about the show. Okay, have an amazing week. We shall talk to you. Thank you for listening to Power, Presence, Position. Your message, your mission, your millions. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but one of life's greatest pleasures is enriching conversation with intelligent, insightful women entrepreneurs who are unapologetic about their ambition. If this is you, then you need to join the Power, Presence, Position community of practice. This party is happening over on Facebook. You can access it by going to eleanorbeaton.com/community. Join us over there where you can access our book club, happy hours, executive roundtables where we talk about the issues that matter most to women entrepreneurs. This is a high-level conversation, the best conversation about women entrepreneurship on the internet. Join us at eleanorbeaton.com/community.